Over the past month, I've had a bunch of videos pop up on my YouTube recommended feed that are kind of titled around like how I always wake up at 3 a.m. or my 3 a.m. morning routine or something like that. And I've never clicked on one of these videos, but I couldn't help but think, why in the world would you want to wake up at 3 a.m. every single day? Because if you want to get like a full 9 hours of sleep, you'd have to go to bed at 6 p.m. to wake up at 3 a.m. Like, it just, in my mind, it doesn't make any sense. And there's been this kind of craze on YouTube over the last little while of like, oh, my 10-step morning routine and all this stuff. And I think when it comes to morning routines, everyone just makes it far too complicated. See, in my humble opinion, the point of a morning routine is not the morning routine itself, but it's what it can do for the rest of your day. Because in truth, your morning pretty much sets up the rest of your day. And if you're doing all these things to overcomplicate it, and by the time your morning routine is done, you're exhausted to the point where you can't do any other productive work, then the routine isn't actually benefiting you at all. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through how I consistently wake up at a time that's good for me and my morning routine so that it can help you find the one that's perfect for you. Let's get to it. Okay, like I was saying, I think most people, when they have a morning routine, at first when they're trying to build one, they have so many different things that they incorporate into it and just try to do too much. It's like 10 separate steps and trying to plan every single thing out. So like wake up at this time, then go to the bathroom, then do 10 push-ups here, then make a coffee, then do 10 more push-ups over here, and then run 3 miles and come back and meditate, then actually hit a workout, then read 10 pages of a book, then do more push-ups. Like, obviously I'm exaggerating here, but a morning routine should be simple. Like I said, it should set the rest of your day up for success. In my opinion, what most people get wrong about morning routines is they see what someone else does and tries to implement that exact thing into their life. That's kind of why there's the craze of how I wake up at 3 a.m., right? Because maybe that works for someone and it's like good in theory because you have more time in the morning, but most people aren't biologically designed to wake up at 3 a.m. Like, for me personally, waking up at 6 a.m. has always been the perfect time for me and continues to be. Ever since I was a little kid, I would always wake up at 6 a.m. like on the dot without an alarm, no matter what time I went to sleep, and that's still kind of the case today. So waking up at 6 a.m. is perfect for me. I go to bed around 10 and wake up at 6, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later, but that's the general pattern just because that's what's always worked for me. I find I get tired around 10 and I just naturally wake up around 6, and that's what works best for me. And I find waking up at 6 allows me to actually have enough time to actually do the things that I want in my morning routine. And honestly, it's very simple. It still comprises all the different aspects of self-improvement, and I get pretty much everything done in terms of my habits and everything, but it's very simple. I guess I should backtrack a little bit here. In terms of waking up at a consistent time, just experiment. Find what works for you best. Find the time that you naturally get tired around and try to schedule it so you have 9 to 10 to 8 hours of sleep so that you actually feel well rested. Like, I know some people like need to wake up with an alarm, but for me, I've always kind of had a good internal clock, so I don't necessarily need it. And just the final tip is, when you wake up, don't lay in your bed anymore. The best tip I can give you to wake up consistently is when you wake up, just get out of bed as fast as you physically can, because once you're out of bed, like, I guess check the time to see if you like can go back to sleep, but once you're out of bed and you turn the lights on, it's kind of like a little more resistance to like go back to sleep, and it's harder to fall back asleep if you've already gotten up. So for me, I just kind of always get up as fast as I can so I'm out of my bed, so I don't have the temptation to just lay there and accidentally fall back to sleep. Now, in terms of my morning routine, it's pretty simple. There's 3 main things that, in terms of habits, not the basic stuff like taking a shower and like eating, like that's just general morning routine, right? So the 3 things that I do is, first, I always make my bed. I learned this back in when I was like, I think 12 was when I started like consistently making my own bed without having like my parents forcing me to do it. And I can't remember which sport I learned it from, but one of my coaches told me that the Navy SEALs, the first thing that they always learn is how to make their bed and how it sets the rest of their day up for success. So that's what I started doing with my life, and I've done it ever since, and it's always had a positive impact on my life. Now, once my bed is made, usually I'll always go work out. Now, majority of the mornings, I just like to start with a workout because it always makes me feel good, and I just like, not necessarily to get it out of the way, it's just one of those things that I enjoy doing in the morning because I always feel better after I've worked out. I don't think I've ever felt worse after a workout unless I like went way too hard and hurt myself, I always just feel good, and it's just a nice thing to kind of set the rest of my day up. Now, obviously, there's some days where I don't work out in the morning. Like today, I didn't work out this morning because I'm going to the gym later tonight with a bunch of like friends. So it's like sometimes I don't always do the same thing, but this is just the general consensus that I follow. And on this morning, I was kind of just getting over a bit of a cold, so I didn't push too hard. But basically, I just started my warm up with a little bit of light rowing, and then I had a bit of a push workout. So we were doing some like flat bench press, and then I think I supersetted with dumbbell incline press and skull crushers, I think, and then did some lateral raises, some rear delt flies, and some chest flies. Normally, I'd also do core on my push day, but since today I was like kind of feeling sick and it was kind of hard to breathe, I didn't throw that in at the end. Usually the workout takes around an hour, sometimes a little bit more, and after my workout, I always stretch. I used to not stretch at all and always used to cope and say like, oh, I'll do it before I go to bed so it relaxes me. But once I committed myself to stretching after my workout and kind of always implemented it in right then, I'd always stretch because it was just something that I did after my workout. Now, this is a concept I learned from the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it's called habit stacking. So if you have a habit that you've established, right? So for me, it's like weightlifting and working out. I've done that for like since I was pretty much like 9. I've always consistently worked out, and stretching is a habit that can be related to working out. So if I stretch after my workout, it's so much easier to implement that habit, that new habit into my life versus trying to do it at a different time because I'm pairing it with something I'm already consistent with. Now, after I stretch, this is where I kind of do the mental health and some of the other self-improvement stuff like meditating. So I'll usually just sit and meditate for about 10 minutes and then I'll usually journal. Normally I journal on paper, but I've ran out of paper here and it's just all like white paper like this, like there's my script and stuff. That's pretty much my routine. Make my bed, work out, stretch, and do some mental health habits. And that's pretty much just like my self-improvement morning routine. It's simple. It's worked for me for the last little while, and I've always been consistent with it. And that's the biggest thing. Just find something that's simple that can work for you, because once I get this done, the main thing is like, obviously these habits are good, but I just feel genuinely good after I've done these habits and after my morning routine's done. I just feel ready to go to work or go do other things. Like I just feel energized and I feel good. And I think a lot of people do too much in their morning routine. For me, this is the perfect amount. It gets the things done and the habits that are good for me, it gets them done, but it doesn't take too much time so that I feel exhausted by the time I actually have to go like do other things. And obviously after this is when I like take a shower and eat breakfast and get ready. That's kind of just, I'm not going to go through like everything I do because it's like, you're a human being, right? You know the basic things of a morning routine. So when you're taking time to kind of develop your morning routine, don't think that you need to wake up at a specific time. Don't think you need to follow exactly what I'm doing. Experiment. Find what works for you, keeping in mind that the point of a morning routine isn't the morning routine itself, but what it's going to do for the rest of your day.